Hey, I'm Scott.
And I'm Chris.
And this is Doxologic, where we help you think with your Bible.
Okay, let's move on. Should believers expect levels of reward in heaven? And is your mansion bigger than Scott's, Chris? That's what everyone really wants to know.
Unfortunately, that remains to be seen, but...
That's a pretty good chance.
but so far, I would call my odds. My odds are looking real. My odds are looking real good.
I was going to set you up for that one. I was trying to lob that one over the plate, bro.
Thank you.
Just hit
Thank
it.
you.
Just hit
Appreciate
it.
that. But my humility is just.
See, that's it, man.
That's your reward.
Just too good. Yeah. I mean, 1 Corinthians 3.
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
comes to mind.
Yeah.
Thinking, is that the right kind of place?
I think you could get it from a number of different places.
Yeah, I was
we
trying to
probably
think
have
about
to
where-
tease it out a little bit because
Right.
if someone goes to like Matthew 20 and looks at that passage, it's like everyone got the same reward at the end of the day, no matter when they were hired, right? And so we could go there.
The laborers who get hired in the
Yes.
3rd hour, 6th hour,
Yes.
and then the
Yes.
11th hour, they all get a denarii, is it
Yes.
denarii or whatever, right? They'll
Yes.
get a day's wage.
Yes. Start with 1 Corinthians 3 because I think
Okay.
that helps frame it.
Okay.
I think that's a good place to start and just get a sense for the judgment part that's going to take
Sure.
place.
So 1 Corinthians 3:12 and on. Now, if anyone builds on the foundation, which is Christ, in the previous verse here, anyone builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, each one's work will become manifest for the day, and at least in English, this is capitalized D as in judgment day, for the day will disclose it because it will be revealed by fire, and the fire will test what sort of work each has done. If the work that anyone has built on the foundation survives, he will receive a reward. If anyone's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, though he himself will be saved, but only as through fire. Mm-hmm. And so granted, there's more to be teased out than I mean, there's some context around this, but clearly Paul is, I would argue, at the least he is saying, there will be Christians who will have lived a life in many aspects of their life. All of them Christians. They will be saved, but their ministry or their service or their family life will be have self-glorifying, sinful tendencies in them, and it's not going to stand a kind of test God's going to give their works, even as Christians. And then others who will clearly be seen to have led a God-glorifying life and ministry, not ministry as in even like vocationally, but their ministry of their life is going to receive a reward. Now, how much specificity can we give that? Is there some sort of like, heavenly bank account that some people have more than others? I am limited to I don't want to say more than I feel confident in, but that there's a difference, it seems clear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, certainly because each one's work is not the same.
Right.
Right. And so
Yeah,
and that's
what
just,
you do,
yeah.
and then whether it survives.
Yes, exactly.
the test,
So
the
you have
examination.
both things. You have what you've actually done, and then based on what you've done, is it going to hold up?
Yeah.
To the judgment, right? And so there will be a distinction in that sense, simply because we know the logical part of what we just said. So the difference in the kind of work. Yes, all of us were created in Christ, for good works that He had planned beforehand.
Ephesians
2:10. But those works are different per person. And so there is a sense of the crown language, right?
Right.
That there's crown language, and it seems like there's... like in 2 Timothy 4, I'm thinking about the end of 2 Timothy where Paul's describing the finishing of his race. The thing that you'd want to know about this is that even while there are, I think, a differing sense of how the rewards will be doled out, you won't be responsible for what God's entrusted and called me to in good works. And I won't be responsible for yours. So it's not going to be unjust. Right? It's not going to be like, that was unfair for me because I got the short end of the stick, or why didn't I would have wanted more rewards if I could have gone after more rewards. It's not going to be like that, right?
Yeah. We can get real twisted in some of that. Like, for example, the person that's pastoring X size church in the thousands compared to the guy that pastored church in the hundreds, that's not the bar.
Correct.
Like, what did God give you to do? Did you do it faithfully? Did you do it like a kind of the investing language of, did you sow the seeds of righteousness and you will reap a reward? Some of that blessing can come in this life, but much of that language is heavenly language, and so it's not about the number of people that came to your church automatically qualifies you for a new set of rewards.
sure.
Like that's where we go because of maybe it's capitalistic thinking in the West or whatever. It's like that's not kingdom mindset, right?
Yeah, and you got to separate rewards from even the crown dynamic here with Paul. So let me read this. So it says, very popular, well-known verse, 2 Timothy 4:7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Henceforth, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness. And again, you could get into the details of what is the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day. Again, capital D, Chris, to that passage earlier. And not only to me, but to all who loved his appearing. So there is a sense in which all who love his appearing, all who are in Christ, will receive a crown, but that distinction of rewards. And that's why it's like crown for all, right? In this crown of righteousness sense. Similar sense for all in the laborers in the vineyard in Matthew 20, where... Remember this one? For the kingdom of heaven is like a master of a house who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. And some went out in the morning, and I'm trying to summarize this without reading the whole thing. And then some came later, and they all agreed up front to what their reward was going to be. But then at the end, there's a grumbling over the generosity. And so it says, and on receiving it, they grumbled at the master of the house, saying, these last worked only 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us who have borne the burden of the day and the scorching heat. But he replied to one of them, friend, I am doing you no wrong, which he will do no wrong in the establishment of the final rewards. But he says, did you not agree with me for a denarius? Take what belongs to you and go. I chose to give to this last worker as I give to you. Am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Or do you begrudge my generosity? So the last will be first and the first last. But I think that generosity piece is like, yes, it's all the same in that God chooses to give his grace. And that's the only way you're even into the kingdom in the first place, right? And he can give that. So the person that's been a Christian the whole time gets the same kingdom entrance as the person who becomes a Christian on their deathbed, right? But that doesn't mean that the rewards are the same. Even if the major reward is the kingdom, that there's still distinction that is built into because the work is simply different from each person, but not unjust to the individual and a bit of a mystery, right? Like in terms of like, how do those crowns work and what kind of crowns are they? And there's that picture in Revelation of the laying of our crowns down at the feet of Jesus, because you know that the works that each has been prepared beforehand to work in has been appointed by the Lord ultimately and empowered by the Lord. And anything that's going to hold up in the judgment, the Bema Seat judgment of Christ, is going to be that which was empowered by the Lord in our lives. And so I think the best way to see this is that there is distinction, but that you should be faithful to what God has put in front of you. And insofar as you are able to exercise in faithfulness, obedience to that which God has called you to and the power that he gives you to do it.
That's super helpful. Thanks, guys, for that clarity.
You've been listening to Doxologic, a podcast by Doxa Church in Rockland, California. To learn more, visit us online at doxa.church.